Hello guys, welcome to another video. So I think 2 days ago I made a video where I went through 3 charts. I think we looked at Nasdaq, which is the very same chart that I have open here, and then we looked at gold, and we also did VIX75. So this is just a follow-up video where we just check how they played out, and then we can maybe look at one new chart just to give you something to look at. Maybe you can get an entry on that. So for those of you that have watched that previous video, you know that when we were looking at this one, the price was still at the bottom. Basically, we were still playing around there, right? I don't know if you guys managed to get a trade, but I was saying that right where we are at this horizontal line, somewhere around there, the price has a chance of pushing up, right? And then pushing up to, if we try and zoom out to the other time frames, the bigger time frames, daily is suggesting that we could be pushing out to somewhere there. But this current H4 level that we are at is very strong. It's very strong. It's something to look out for, just in case the price taps there and then starts coming to the downside. But the prediction that we had on this one was that the price would push up from where it was, and you can see that it's been doing that. Now we are at this level, right? And so that's, like I said, that's the level that you need to look out for, because this, as much as we are respecting the trend line, but remember, the more you touch a trend line, the more you tap into the trend line, the weaker it gets. So which means it might get broken. I'm not saying the trend line is going to get broken. I'm just saying when the more you have a lot of touches on a trend line, it becomes weak. The very same way when you're talking about a zone. If you have a zone and the price is bouncing on that zone, it becomes weak, which means there's a chance that it might get broken, right? But otherwise, according to the prediction, it went well. And yeah, but there's still a lot of space to push there. This is just the biggest obstacle on the way, because if this one gets removed, then we will have all the space to push the upside. But otherwise, as you can see, I also managed to get something from it. And yeah, let's just see how it plays out from here. And then let's check the second chart that we looked at the other day. All right, the second chart that we looked at was VIX75, and it looks like this now. When we were doing the analysis, the price was still around there, and I said to you that the price basically was bouncing between, this resistance and this support. But I said that as much as at the time when we were still around there, we were still sort of consolidating between the two zones, but I said the resistance is the one that's most likely going to be removed. I'm not sure if you still remember that, because I said that where we are bouncing from, the initial prediction was that the price would, immediately touches around this level, it will start to go back up, because it's been going down for a very long time, as you can see. But I told you that even in the previous 2 videos that you can watch, the price was still up there, but we said there's still some room for the price to go down to reset everything at this horizontal line. And now we are at the horizontal line, and it's only a matter of saying now we can start to pull up from there. And I told you that the resistance and the support that we were bouncing in between, this is going to be removed. And when you remove that, you're opening more space to the upside. But we know that just because the price wants to go to the upside does not mean that it should just move like this. So pullbacks in between here and there, they're just going to come. But the overall sentiment or view on this one is that the price has a higher chance of pushing to the upside. So you need to try and look for trades to the upside. But currently it's a bit tricky, because if you are trading on H1, the trend line that we had was somewhere there, and it's been taken out by this resistance on H1. So that's what I'm saying. Buying now, it's something that if you're trading H1, exactly like the H1, it's not going to be easy for you to get a buy, simply because the buyers are no longer very strong. Because if they were strong, they were going to defend the trend line, but they failed. That's for people who are trading on H1. Let's see if someone is trading on H4. Is there anything that they can utilize to try and go up? Yes, So on H1, the current area where we are at, it's quite strong because it's located around the previous areas of resistance. And yeah, so it's the one that gave us that push to the upside, even though we are bouncing from this weird looking resistance. But this is not something that I trust because of what it's formed by a pin bar, like the candlestick that we're having here. It's a pin bar, right? So we're still, leaning towards the upside as the same as what we were saying in the initial prediction. So yeah, that's how VIX75 played out, and that's what you can look out for on this one. Because I saw, even though H1 is saying that we are on the other side of the trend line, with this being a very interesting level, but the type of candlesticks that we are having there, they are very interesting. So we need to just say, I can just do it like this and say, let's see how the price is gonna break the range of those pin bars, because you can see that not so long ago I made a video on pin bars, and I told you the difference between a bullish one, a bearish one, and the one where the board is in between. And I told you what they all mean, so you must try and utilize that knowledge or that information that I gave you to take advantage of this when the price breaks out of this range. All right, so let's look at the last chart that we went through the other day. Then we will open a new chart and just make a full analysis on that one. Make sure that you stick around, because that's the one where we are going to just start from the highest time frame all the way to the lowest time frame, and then see if we can get any trading opportunities. All right, the last chart that we went over the other day, which was on Sunday, was this one, which is gold. And our prediction was that, because remember when we were making the prediction, we were still around there. I said that there's a chance that the price could go down, but at the same time, because we're still located inside the support, there was also space for the bulls to push the price up, because remember, we were in here, right? In here at the time, but we can see clearly that now the support has been taken out on this time frame, and that opens more space to push to the downside. And at the same time, remember when you're looking at weekly, I think it did have a pin bar. Yes, last week we ended with a pin bar, and that could also push the price down to at least somewhere there, right? So there's a lot of pressure to go to the downside on the bigger scale, but it doesn't mean that your smaller time frames can have a strong bullish trend. It's just a short-term bullish momentum, but that doesn't change, or it won't change the overall view on weekly, right? So yeah, let's see what we're having on the smaller time frames. So here we took out this zone, and it was not the perfect zone because of the pin bar that we're having there. But now let's see what we're having on H4. So on H4, we are playing inside this, which is the resistance, the closest resistance that we're having on this bearish market, on this time frame, right? But it looks like if you wanted to put your bearish trend line there, the price will be playing outside the trend line. So which means as much as we are at the resistance, but for you to trust the sellers fully there, it's not something that you be confident about, because if the sellers were the strongest, why didn't they defend their trend line and keep the price below it? Because they allowed the bulls to push the price to the other side and break the trend line, which means that currently we are just bouncing in between this high and in between this low, right? Because if this high is taken out, this is scenario number one. If this high is taken out, then this will mean that all this space to push up the price there, right? And which means that, and again, we can see that we are having this pin bar there, which is a bullish pin bar. But the bullish pin bar is not located nicely, because I said you can't just take a buy trade because you're seeing a bullish pin bar. You have to be located somewhere. A pin bar alone is not enough. So if you're having a bullish pin bar during a bullish market and the price is around a bullish trend line or around an area of support, then yeah, that's something that you can take. And yeah, the same goes for a bearish pin bar. For you to utilize a bearish pin bar, if you want to increase your chances of it being a success, you need to take that bearish pin bar, which if it's maybe during a bearish market and we are located around the bearish structure, be it a resistance or a bearish trend line, right? But here, scenario one, if this is taken out, this high there, we will have all this space to take the price back there. But like I said, that won't change the how the weekly still looks. You still have a pin bar there, right? Because if we go to daily, right, if we go to daily said we were very aggressive here, and I told you that as much as we could be, you know, in a bearish trend, but a healthy trend is the one that does this. So this one here is very dangerous, because when you're having aggressive trend, even the pullbacks usually they are very aggressive. All right. So with that being said, what we're seeing here on daily, if it happens that there by your H4, that high is taken out, and then it opens space to push to the upside, the same thing will apply here, because we have a very strong resistance there at the top, right, which is the one that pushed the price to the other side of the trend line, right? So which means that should that high on H4 be removed, and we will have a space for the price to go and retest there and possibly return and continue with its trend, because the price, like I said, it opened more space, possible space to push to the downside the moment it did that, right? So but it can't just continue like this. Yes, it's possible, but it's going to be too aggressive, too extended, and this is very dangerous because the pullback can also be aggressive. So that's why I'm saying you need to monitor what happens here on H4. It's very important, because if it happens that the high is removed, then there's space to go there. If it happens that the low is removed, then what does that mean? Because like we said, currently we're just bouncing in between this and that. The bulls are not fully in control and the sellers are not fully in control, because like I said, if the sellers were fully in control, they were gonna keep the price below the trend line, but they failed. They allowed the bulls to push it to the other side of the trend line. But at the same time, if the bulls were fully in control, they will remove all the sellers' structures. But so far, they've only taken out the trend line, the resistance. They're failing to take it out. That's why I'm saying we've got two possibilities, depending on which one is going to be removed between the resistance and the support. So if the support is removed, I've already showed you why or what to do, or what's possibly going to happen if the resistance or this high here is taken out. Now let's talk about what would happen if the support is removed, right? Remember, we were in a downtrend, and the reason why the sellers lost that status where they were in control pushing the price to the downside is because they allowed the bulls to take out their trend line and push to the other side. The bulls from where? The bulls from here, right? I hope you're still following. I'm trying to just draw the same thing that's happening here, right? I'm saying the price was going to the downside, right? And we had a trend line, a bearish trend line. I'm talking about this one, right? And then all of a sudden, meaning when we're still going to the downside, we're still below the trend line. The price or the bears or the sellers were the ones fully in control. The bulls were nowhere to be found, because the price was pushing to the downside, taking out areas of support and forming new areas of resistance. So we are fully to the downside. All of a sudden, the bulls found ground here, and they managed to take the price outside, which is what? The bulls from here. Then we are saying, okay, what's happening here? Why all of a sudden we are seeing some strength, or the bulls showing strength, flexing their muscles from this low? What's happening there? Are they just, going for a pullback, or do they want to change the trend? All of that will depend on what they do when they get to this resistance, right? So it means that if the sellers on that resistance are too strong and they force them to go back down, right? And now if we want to say the sellers are still back in control, what do they have to do? They just have to remove the buyers that are here that disrupted their trend, because remember the sellers trend was disrupted by the guys here. So which means for the sellers to regain their full strength, they have to just take out these guys. because these are the guys that disrupted their trend. So when that happens, then it will mean that the trend line has to change. The trend line would then go there and involve the new low, and then the sellers are fully in control. Then we continue selling, which is what possibility number 2. Remember, I showed you possibility 1 on what's possibly going to happen if we take out that high, with the possibility of the price going back there and retesting that daily area of resistance that started the whole move. But if it happens that the sellers there, they are aggressive, then they're trying to, they defend their resistance and push the price down and also take out the support. That would be possibility number 2. It will mean that the seller's trend would have been restored. Then we adjust the trend line. Then we continue taking trades to the downside, which means this would be continuing. This would be continuing because we said there's a chance of it going there, looking at the type of candlestick we had there. I hope this makes sense. I really hope it does. So that's what you can expect from this one. So we went through all the charts that we did on Sunday with Nasdaq. I showed you how it played out and what's most likely going to happen going forward. Then we went to VIX75. I did the same thing. I just reviewed our setup and then what's most likely going to happen after that. And then now lastly we did gold, and I showed you how it played out and what to look out for and how to search for trades on this one. So far, I hope you guys have been following. So now we're going to do 2 new charts. So one, I got it from like the comment section. There's someone that said they asked me to review what's this, Bitcoin, right? And then we can also do something that most people will trade. Maybe let's do Gbpjpy, right? So we're going to do these 2. Then that should conclude our today's video. So meaning these are the ones that we are going to focus mainly on in the next video, because we need to quickly run through how everything played out before we can continue, because I don't want to just give you an analysis and then a breakdown and then we don't follow up on the predictions that we made, right? So let's start with Gbpjpy. All right, this is the Gbpjpy chart and this is H1. So I'm gonna try and be a bit faster because already we are 17 minutes in on this video and I don't like long videos. But yeah, if it means that I need to, maybe if they're a bit longer and I'm giving you more information, then all right, let's just do it. So this is our Gbpjpy chart, and we are going to start with the highest time frame, because I always tell you that when you are making your analysis, it's very, very, very important that you start with the highest time frames and then you work your way down, because you need to understand, or you need to try and at least have an idea of what's happening on the bigger time frame or the bigger scale before you can drill down to the smaller time frame. All right, so on this broker, I think this is all the candlesticks they giving me, but it's fine. It gives me an idea. We can see that this thing has been, moving upwards. It has been going to the upside. So, but we can just say it being with the trend being upwards, and then we need to just mark the structures that go with the trend. The first one being a bullish trend line, the second one being the bullish zone, which is what the support or the demand. So these are the 2 structures that we are having. But looking at how the price has been moving to the upside, I doubt we will have a deeper pullback where the price will even reach there, but you'll never know. So but if it happens that the price pulls back towards the bullish structures, one of the bullish structures being the trend line or the zone, then that's where the price will possibly return or turn from there and start going up again and continue with their trend, the bullish trend. So that's all that we can take from this time frame. It doesn't have a lot of information. We are just bullish and we have a bullish structures, which is the bullish trend line and the support or the demand. So let's check if we find anything different on weekly. So this is our weekly chart. We can see also still very much bullish, but let's zoom in and focus on the structures that we are seeing on this time frame. The first one being let's see where you're gonna put your bullish trend line. gonna be very difficult. You can even still keep it the same way as the one that you had on your monthly, or you can take it there, but this is too aggressive. I wouldn't take it there, right? I'll just keep it where the monthly one was. And now in terms of the zone, we have this one here that we are currently testing. But remember how I feel about the zones that are formed by pin bars, right? I always say that in my videos, I always say that they're not the strongest, right? Most of the time you see the price trying to chase the end part of that pin bar, meaning the price would go deeper and end up tapping into the next zone, right? So but in terms of the zones, this is the nearest one we got, not the strongest. This is the very strong one. Look at the candlestick that is formed there. So we can see that the price has been going up, and then we had that, which is what the bearish pin bar. And I always say that a bearish pin bar, we want to see it at the top, because it's the one that says there's a bearish force coming in. So we can't be utilizing a bearish pin bar at the bottom. I mean, you can't sell at the bottom. So this is something that was saying that maybe a pullback, a deeper one is coming, and then we can see that the price is currently pushing to the downside. But the zone that we are tapping into, this one, not the strongest. So I wouldn't be surprised to see if by the next end of the next month, the price being somewhere inside there, right? So let's check what we have on daily. So our daily chart looks something like this, and we can see clearly that this one is sort of going to the downside, because we're going to the upside, and we had, maybe we could have put our trend line there and say that the price was bullish, with the bullish trend line being around there, and now we can see it has been taken out. And again, when we're going to the up, like when we're going to the upside, we did have this. I'm not sure if you can see there. I will try and zoom in so that we can see what I'm talking about. We did have this candlestick. We can see we are bullish going upwards, and then the upside, and then all of a sudden we have the bearish candlestick, and we continued. What is that? That is what we refer to as the pause. Remember when I was giving you the support and resistance lesson, we said that, or the demand and supply, we said that the price sometimes, it doesn't always find the support at the swing low. You can also find it at that pause before continuation, that rally base rally. The price can also find support there. But in this case, the support was what was taken out, because when the price came back, it removed that. So which means that on this time frame, the sellers managed to remove the support, and they managed to remove the trend line. So we can see clearly that our daily is going to the downside. All right. And if you want, I mean, if you look at these candlesticks that we're having going to the upside, as much as they were bullish, but they were not very convincing. Their trend was exhausted. And that's why suddenly we had candlesticks like this pushing to the downside. And that's what resulted in the trend going to the downside. So now we're just waiting for the price to tap into our bigger zone, which is this one. Remember, this is our weekly support that we said we don't trust, because it's formed by weird candlesticks on the weekly time frame. But now we'll just have to wait and see how the price reacts there. Just because it's formed by a pin bar does not mean the price can't react. We just say it's weak. It's not the strongest compared to the one that's formed by a normal candlestick with a bigger body, right? So how are you going to then take advantage if the price gets into that zone and start reversing? How will you know that the price is reversing? Then you can do something like this. It's very easy. You will just zoom in and say, I know this trend current is going to the downside. Then the trend line we have, it's there, and our zone we have, it's here, which is the resistance, right? So you will just wait for the price to tap into that. Maybe when the price is inside there, let's say it gives you a bullish pin bar. And remember, we said a bullish pin bar is suggesting that the bulls are becoming aggressive, and it's something that we'll see by the long tail below, right? Now, would you try and look into that and try and have an entry to the upside? The answer is yes, you can, because remember we said when we're trying to use the pin bars, we want to be located somewhere. So if I'm seeing a bullish pin bar inside a pool of bulls, which is what the weekly support, we can try and take that. But the challenging part would be the trend on this time frame is going to the downside. Maybe you can say, yes, I know the trend is still bearish, but the fact that the location that we are located at a weekly area of support. So this is daily, weekly is bigger. Maybe you can use that to say that I can take that buy and target the daily structures, because of what? I cannot look past them. They are still intact. That's if you are trying to get an early entry. But if someone wants to play it safe, you will just wait for the price to be on the other side. Then you're taking the pullback. I hope this makes sense. So let's check if we have anything interesting on H4. There is nothing. We still have the space for the price to push to the downside. And if you want to have your trade, you're gonna take it the same way. The price tapping into that weekly support, then you start to see how it reacts when it's located inside there. Then if you get an early entry, you'll be targeting either the trend line or the resistance, and then that's it. So let's check one last time frame. So the structure is the same. So we're just waiting to see what happens when the price does what? Taps into this zone. Anywhere from here, we want to see what happens. So this is the same thing that happened on VIX75. Remember, the price was still up there and we were saying there's still some space to go there. But once the price touches here, anywhere from here, you need to now observe how the price moves, because that could also suggest that you could see some signs that the bulls are kicking in. Then they take the price up towards what? The bearish structures, which is what they appear nicely on this one, which is your bearish trend line and your resistance. You see, so you just need to wait for the price to touch here, then you observe, you open your eyes and see how the price reacts when it gets there, so that you can try and get an entry to the upside. So I would say that's my prediction on Gbpjpy. So now let's do one last chart, which is something that you're not used to checking here on our channel, which is Bitcoin. So we're going to do Bitcoin because there's someone in the comment section that asked me that I look at it. So let's try and find a Bitcoin chart and try and go over it. All right, here we have a Bitcoin chart. So let's try and analyze this one quickly, because my battery also is going down very quickly. So let's try and see if we can get anything out of this. So the approach will still be the same, whether we are looking at Bitcoin or Nasdaq or Gbpjpy. We don't have to change our approach. With the strategy that I'm using, you don't have to change the approach. You just need to understand that a candlestick is a candlestick. Whether it represents price action on Bitcoin or VIX75 or gold, it doesn't matter. We still approach it the same way. All right, so this is Bitcoin. Let's check the highest time frame and see what's happening. So the price has been, we were going up and then we stopped and then we came back. Now we went up and we're still around the same, highest point that we have ever reached. But with this side being the highest, because you can see that the candlesticks are actually higher than the ones we are having this side. But for the past 4 months or so, we haven't been going anywhere. We just have 4 candlesticks next to each other like that. So there's nothing interesting here, because the trend line is there and the zone is there, which is far and further away from the current price action. So let's just dive into the smaller time frame and see what's happening. So this is our weekly chart, right? So the weekly chart, I want you to look at it this way. When we're still going to the upside and the price action looked like this, the nearest zone that we had was here, which is this pin bar there. Remember, I said a zone can be found at a swing low, at a swing high, or at a pause, like that small pause in between a strong move to the upside, which is the same thing that we're having here. The price is going up and then it stopped for 1 week and then it continued. So this is the nearest area of support. And then the price has been trading above that ever since. So if we try and extend the thing to the right, I don't think the thing was touched. The zone was touched, because it starts, even if you cover the entire zone, it starts there and then it ends here. So the zone was missed. right? And I'm not sure as to whether what we are having this side, but let's try and find out if which side is higher than the other. Okay, this is higher than that. All right, so it means that our zone is this one that hasn't been touched, and the price now went up to the highest point right there, and then we're just gonna wait and see how the price reacts from there. Because of what, we don't know that for the past 4 months we haven't been going anywhere. We've been trading around the same level. So now we are back at the highest point that we've been struggling to keep up with. We've been struggling to continue breaking. So now let's see how the price is gonna react around there, right? So let's do next time frame, which is daily. Our daily time frame looks like this, right? And we can see clearly that our daily time frame was going to the downside, with this being the support that broke the trend line and also broke the area of resistance. So like I said, the price was going to the downside, and the nearest resistance we had at the time when the price was still here was this one, right? With the trend line being here. And then the price, remember, it missed that weekly area of resistance. Maybe it felt the pressure from there, and then all of a sudden that bearish trend came to an end because the price pushed up, and then it broke the trend line, went to the resistance, and then it broke the resistance as well, and then continued with its bullish move. So in terms of the structures that we're having here, the support has never been tested, and then currently the nearest support we are having on this time frame is this one here. And yeah, it's formed by a pin bar, not the nicest one, and so the price might just take it out, especially because of the pressure that is happening around here, being the highest point that the price has ever reached, and being the structures that we saw on the bigger time frames, and the time frames were bigger than this daily one that we're looking at. So maybe let's see if the price would be able to zip and then go at least until there. And then let's see what we're gonna find on H4. So our H4 looks like this, right? We were going to the upside, and the trend line that we could mark at the time, we could start it from here, and then it passes there, and say that's our trend line, right? And this being the second point of the trend line, and this is the very same point that we are at. But unfortunately, the trend line has been taken out, so we can say that the bears haven't really won, because they only took the trend line out, but they haven't managed to go below the second point of the trend line, which means we're just bouncing in between that horizontal line and this one. We're just bouncing in between here. So if it happens that the price takes out this, then they will have a chance to go down to this area of support here, which is also located at, I'm assuming, at that weird looking, yes, at that weird looking daily one. But for now, the obstacle is this low. Is it gonna break it? We'll never know. Let's just wait and find out. But if it does, then definitely going all the way down to that one. And we said this is also a weird looking one on daily. Maybe it will also be taken out. Then we go all the way down to try and retest the daily zone that started this whole thing and broke the trend line and broke the resistance. So everything should be connected. You should try and link different time frames together. So let's check H1. Our H1 looks like this, right? In terms of the trend line, when we're still going to the upside, it would have looked exactly the same as the one that we saw on what's this, on H4, and then it was removed by this resistance here that the price kind of missed a bit. But yeah, now we can see clearly that we're just waiting to see if the price is going to break this, right? Because if it does, then we're definitely going all the way down there. So that's Bitcoin for you. If it doesn't break it, and then you start seeing signs of reversal, because remember, your H1 and your H4, they are consolidating. So that's why we were saying they're bouncing in between this and that. So you have all this space. You can buy from there exit there. If you get a sell trade, sell from there, exit there, at least until one of this is removed. And I told you that should this one be taken out, definitely the selling trades are going to push all the way down to that weird looking daily zone, or the H4, the H1 located inside the H4, which is also inside the daily one. Should this one be taken out, this one, we are going up to the highest points and see what we're gonna find there. So I would say that's my prediction on this one. So for those that want to do day trading on this one to try and maybe get a trade, you can just observe the price action. Currently we are located at a very sensitive level, so you might get a chance to take your buy trade back up to this, depending on how the price action around here, if you know how to read the candlesticks. So if you can't, just rely on the simple stuff, which is your bullish pin bar or your bullish engulfing. Those are the simple patterns that you can use to try and catch your trades to the upside from a key structure, a bullish structure, which is what? A support. So I don't think we can go lower than this because we're gonna have weird candlesticks. All right, so here you are having your M15, and knowing where we are located, maybe let's just put a horizontal line at the thing that we are trying to say, should it be taken out? It's this. Let's see if it was taken out. I'm not sure if I put it accurately, but yeah, if it's accurate, then we can see that. I don't know if it will appear on the video, but it was taken out by a pip, by this candlestick, unless if I didn't mark it accurately, or unless if it was only taken out on this broker, because remember, brokers, the candlesticks might look slightly different, right? So yeah, so here where we are located, we know it's a sensitive level, and look at the candlesticks that you're getting. If it happens that the price breaks the range of those candlesticks right here, maybe if you placed your buy stop there, then it will only be you targeting that, because you're trading M15, unless of course if you want to push your luck and say I will target that H1 zone there, you can also do that. But when you get to your M15, because you're using M15 time frame to take your trade, when the price gets to your M15 resistance that I had marked there, you're either going to use that as your TP1, or you're going to use that to move to break even. I hope this makes sense. So basically you are trying to get an entry on a smaller time frame because you want to have a tighter stop loss, or you want to have a sniper entry, because usually it's very difficult to get a sniper entry on the highest time frame. But when you know that the location where you are is very sensitive and you're trying to get trades around there, you can zoom into the smaller time frames and end up converting that trade into a bigger trade, because of what? That's what you wanted in the first place. It's just that you didn't want to use a bigger time frame. But depending on which side the price break here, we can have a chance to go to at least that being your TP1, or your area where you can move to break even, or you can even just wait until it gets there. But keeping in mind that on this broker we have this, I'm not sure if it appears on all the brokers, so that can also open space for the sellers to go to the downside. All right, so that's gonna be something very interesting to look at in terms of all the charts that I went through. So I didn't just want to go through the charts and not sort of give you sort of a lesson in between to say that this is how you look at the chart, this is what you do, and what, because I don't want you to rely on me. You must be able to use this information and go open a chart and be able to, you know, do your own analysis and come up to the same conclusion as me. That's when you can see that the stuff that I'm teaching here, you understand it. Until then you just need to try, and because I've uploaded a lot of videos on this channel, so just don't rush yourself. So just take one, especially the ones that I've uploaded recently, the long ones, because initially I will have 10 minutes videos, so that I will just rush through most of the stuff. But on the current ones, or the recent ones where I'm having 30 minutes to 40 minutes, those are the ones where I try by all means to explain everything. When you're talking about the pin bar, I will pause the video, the analysis video, and continue with the lesson where I'm teaching you the pin bar is this is how you read it, so that you are able to sort of understand why I believe in the power of a pin bar when it's located nicely. All right, so if you have watched this far and you haven't subscribed, I don't know. I don't know what it will take to convince you that the information that I'm sharing in here works. But otherwise, those that have subscribed or those that have been in on this channel for months or years, I know I appreciate. I noticed you there, especially the ones that are always in the comment section. So, but otherwise, today's video ends here. If you have anything else that you would like for me to cover in the next video, it can be a pair, it can be a topic. Maybe you say, just like the first guy that once asked me to do time frame combinations. So it can be a topic or it can be a pair that you want me to go over. Then I'll just try and add that on the next video. But otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.